changes.
Hey guys, this is Dinosaur D123 here, coming at you with another video. So I'm here with my buddies Dr. Evil and It's Just a Person, two amazing Scorch players that were helping me put together stuff for this vid. We're going to be doing a Scorch mechanics and tactics guide for you guys. We're going to be talking about all the damage specifics and tips and tricks for Scorch, for the Flame Shield, the primary, Flame Wall, Incendiary Trap, and Core. And talk about how we could get the most out of these with how the game works and how the mechanics for Scorch itself works. And we're also going to be covering reload canceling for your primary weapon. That way you can increase your damage output there. Go ahead and meet me in center, guys. So first we're going to be discussing the Flame Shield. So the Flame Shield does 7,600 damage in 6 seconds if you are running the stock Flame Shield, if you're not using the Inferno kit. If you switch on the Inferno Shield, it will now last 8 seconds, and over 8 seconds it'll do 13,000, which is quite a good upgrade. I believe it's 50% damage increase per second. Real quick, we're going to be showing off how to properly block arc waves with your Flame Shield, which many people don't even realize that you can do. So I'm going to be looking towards the ground when he throws it, and unfortunately it is inconsistent, but as long as you're looking towards where the arc wave is coming from, or your crouch when you're blocking it, it typically works. So let's try that again. There it is. See, it will go into the shield and block it. So now I'm going to try to block it while I'm crouched, which is usually more consistent than just looking towards the floor. We're going to give this a try. Nice, there it is. That's first try. So that just shows you that you can in fact block the arc waves. It doesn't always work. Sometimes the game is just going to tell you no, but it's intended to work every time, even though that's just not the way it works, just through improper coding and that. Person, if you could just park your Titan right there and come over here with me as a pilot. So we're going to be showing two things right here for the Flame Shield versus the Thunderbolt. So he's going to shoot a Thunderbolt at me, and I have to be looking at the Thunderbolt shot with my shield, and it will not only stop an impact shot, but it will also stop the arcing effect from it. So go ahead and shoot it past me, person. So I'm going to just keep trailing it so that it won't hurt me. So as long as I'm looking at the arc bolt, then it shouldn't do any damage to me at all. So now go ahead and shoot it past me again. This time I'm just going to be looking this way, and as soon as it passes me, it starts arcing. So you have to keep it in your reticle so that you'll avoid that damage. So next we're going to start talking about the thermite launcher. Real quick, while he's a pilot, we're going to show the thermite launcher versus the AWOL. So go ahead and drop an AWOL and back up, person. So the thermite launcher is the strongest weapon for destroying pilot AWOLs. It will destroy it in one shot, whereas most Titan weapons take the semi-auto shot weapons take 5 to 8 shots, and the Legion Gatling gun takes like 50 plus bullets. So the thermite launcher is actually really good for dealing with pilot AWOLs. And the other thing that you could do is you can ricochet your thermite launcher off walls to hit the pilot behind the wall and destroy it at the same time. So it's really good for dealing with AWOLs. Here shortly we'll be showing off reload canceling. That way you can speed up your reload time and increase your damage output with the thermite launcher. Real quick though, we're going to be talking about the damage numbers. So you can, if you're not getting your thermite damage, you can probably do between like 800 and 1500 damage for your grenade launcher for each shot. But on average, as long as your thermite's sticking to them, you should do like 2000 to 2800 damage, or 2000 to 3000 or so. If you want to be more consistent with getting your thermite damage to apply, instead of aiming for the top of their head where it will likely bounce off them, hold still evil. So if I'm hitting it on his head, it should probably bounce off him and usually not stick. So it's not usually gonna hit all of him if it's bouncing away from him from me hitting up top. Whereas if I aim for either his chest or his legs when he's running forward, then it should stay on him while he's walking and keep it going. See, it trails on his feet. So really helpful trick to increase your damage output for Scorch is to simply aim for their legs or their chest every time. That way it will always try to trail along their legs rather than bounce off them as they're walking. So that will definitely help you out. Another thing you could be doing for your thermite launcher, use the wildfire launcher kit instead of getting typically 3 thermite pools whenever you shoot your grenade launcher. The wildfire launcher will shoot 6. That way it increases the likelihood that you will have the thermite damage apply. And again, the thermite launcher does ricochet, so you can use that to your advantage and you can also use that to get around enemy defenses. So next we can get into the flame wall. So the flame wall can hit multiple targets, and it has an area effect. There are some uses to flame wall, even though it doesn't do it perfectly. So you can use it to light traps that are behind targets. For example, I can have a trap behind this Ronin and not have a clear line of sight, but I can throw a flame wall through him and still light it, because it'll go underneath your targets. It's good for denying hallways to an extent, depending on how big the hallway is. I think it should have a bigger area of effect than it does. You can use it to deny access to batteries by dropping it on top of the battery. That way the pilot can't grab it, and discourage enemy advances, like with those hallway pushes and stuff like that. The flame wall will do roughly 1,000 damage per second. It does a total of 5,000 damage every second over 6 seconds, so it's just under 1,000 to targets that are standing on it. So you can also, like I said, stack it on multiple targets. So you won't typically see that max damage output because it takes so long to get the full damage, but the damage potential is there. So this next round we're going to be going over incendiary traps as soon as I show off the reload canceling. So basically, to reload cancel, as you reload, when you're near the end of the reload animation, what happens is you'll be putting a canister shell back into your weapon, and at the same time it'll say on the bottom left corner at your ammo capacity, you'll see your ammo go from 0 to 1. As soon as that 1 shows up on screen, you flick your flame shield and it will cut off the last like half second of your reload time, which can be very beneficial. You can get a lot of extra damage output because of that. So right here, it's going to pop the canister out. I'm going to flick my shield, and we're good to go. So as soon you'll notice at the bottom left, it's saying that 1 pops up on screen where it shows a 0 next to my thermite launcher. And you'll also see it's just as the canister is going back into my weapon. That way you can always, those are the 2 cues for you to know that you can end your reloads sooner. Definitely comes in handy. So next we'll show incendiary trap. So Evil, come over here. Good benefit for incendiary traps that you can tie with your thermite launcher is that you can ricochet and bounce them off walls just like your thermite launcher. So if Evil drops a wall right there, so he's going to be defending that zone, I'm going to drop a thermite trap right there and bounce it off the wall and go behind cover. So he has a defense mechanic up, and yet I just throw it right over it and do damage safely, even though I can't get a direct hit on him at the time. So that can really come in handy. Really good benefits for the incendiary trap is you can trap your enemies by trying to cut off where you would expect them to go. So you can kind of do this, and then you would go and flame shield them and push them in. That way you hold them in place for you to get your flame shield damage output. So it's good for trapping enemies, denying areas of the map. Really great for damage output. Each trap does roughly 4.5k damage. You can use them to bounce off walls and get behind particle walls and other defense mechanics like Ion's Vortex that we've and stuff like that. One important detail to know though is that you need to be leading your incendiary traps because you need to set them up in advance to properly trap your targets effectively. one problem with the incendiary traps though is that the damage output is inconsistent. For example, they do like 4.5 thousand each, but if you're stacking 2 of them, you won't necessarily see 9,000 damage. Like right there, I think I did roughly 6,000. And every trap does not do exactly 4.5k. Some will do 3,000, some will do 4,000, some will do 5,000, anywhere in there. It's just very inconsistent, which is the main problem I have with Scorch. Is that everything about Scorch is RNG or luck based, which I really wish wasn't the case. It's rather frustrating, to be honest. Watch out for that person. The other thing I'm going to show off in a minute is how to get the most out of your flame core. So what you can do with your flame core, if you're dashing as you activate it, it will increase the range at which it will go because you're going to be closing more ground towards your target when you throw it. The other things you can be doing is if you're doomed, or if you click up on the D-pad to eject sooner, activate flame core, and during your flame core animation, you want to eject. And doing so, your pilot will stay alive guaranteed, instead of going down with your Titan. And the other benefit is, if your Titan dies during your flame core animation, your flame core will cancel and disappear out of existence. It just won't happen. Whereas if you do it as you are ejecting, your flame core will do your flame core will still go off as your Titan, as you're leaving your Titan. So Evil, go ahead and doom me real quick. So if I activated my flame core as he killed me, my flame core would just cease to exist. But again, like I said right here, that you'll see here shortly. So let me go ahead and get my core real quick. Alright, watch out. Okay, so Evil's staying right here. So I'm gonna eject as I activate this, and what's gonna happen is my flame core will still kill him, but I'm gonna be up in the air. And there it is. So even though my Titan died, my flame core kept going, which can really come in handy, especially when fighting another Scorch. So, for example, if you're in a Scorch 1v1 scenario and you both activate core, if you eject, your pilot will live, his will die, instead of you guys killing each other or one of your cores canceling out entirely. And for those of you that do care, even though I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, the Scorched Earth Kit does increase your flame core damage from 4,500 to 5,600, so you get 1,100 extra damage from having that kit. But I like I said, I would not recommend it to anybody. I don't think the kit is worth using. And for those of you who want to run Auto Titan, Scorch is a great choice for it because the Scorch grenade launcher projectile has a very good sized hitbox, and the Scorch Auto Titan has like 3 to 4 times the fire rate. So I'm just gonna park real quick, and it just has a crazy fast fire rate, a lot faster than you could shoot normally, that's for sure. And so it can just stack out damage a lot better than some targets, and it's really good for sniping pilots. So if you want to go Auto Titan, which usually the answer is no, you shouldn't want to, but if you do, then Scorch is definitely a choice to consider. So now that we've covered all of the general mechanics, we're going to get into Titan playstyles real quick. There are 2 or 3 builds that typically work well for Scorch. There's the Inferno Shield build, where you're running Turbo Engine and Inferno Shield. This build focuses on finding a way into close range. Close range is your best friend here. Your shield is your primary damage output because of the Inferno Shield kit. Flanking is typically the best strategy, and a successful flank is usually a guaranteed kill on a target because the shield does over just about 5k damage or so. Full damage from an Inferno Shield results in you getting 80% of your core and 5 bars of damage, which is absolutely menacing to be on the other side of that. If you catch somebody off guard, like a Legion or that Legion's dead. Which is why this build is as good as it is, because when you play it perfectly and everything works out, you just completely change the game for the enemy. But for this build, you want to avoid engaging in targets when they're focused on you. You want to try to remain unseen so that you can catch enemies off guard and get the full benefit of your shield. This build is a very risky playstyle because one mistake, because seeing how you're a slow moving Titan, you have to go for those flanks, and those flanks take a long time. And if you get caught out of position, then you've likely been killed. But don't be afraid to take damage when it comes to committing to those pushes for your flame shield, because it's risky. You're gonna take damage from time to time. And your thermite launcher in this build, seeing how you're not running the wildfire launcher kit, is more for lighting traps than it is for aiming directly for your targets, because the other part of that is that if you're close range, you're risking backfire damage. Like, the thermite can bounce off the target and then still hit you and damage you back, which is something you want to avoid. The last thing that we'll be covering is the wildfire launcher build. That is utilizing the wildfire launcher kit for Scorch. You would run either turbo engine or overcore with the wildfire launcher kit. Both are great options. It depends on whether or not you can get by with no dashes. If you can, then overcore is great because of how beneficial overcore is in general. But if you're struggling without that dash, then definitely go turbo engine. That's personally what I use. So for this build, your thermite launcher is your main damage dealer because you have those extra 3 thermite pools. You have a lot more chances for that thermite damage to apply. This build allows you to fight at more mid-range or head-on engagements more easily. Flanking is still a great option for this build, as your shield will still do nearly 3 bars of damage. But flanking is not required for the build to be successful, as the Inferno Shield typically is, because you can get by with those mid to long range engagements even when people are focusing on you, because your grenade launcher is more viable now. You really want to take advantage of the reload cancel that we just showed recently. That will really increase your damage output so that you can get off more grenade launcher shots and really take advantage of that. You want to aim directly for your targets rather than aiming at your traps because of the extra thermite pools. And the extra thermite will typically light the traps anyway, so you don't even really need to focus on that because the extra pools ricocheting will typically do that for you. And you really don't want to miss out on that damage potential from direct hits. You'll still use your traps and your flame wall to deny areas and trap enemies as usual. But when you trap enemies, you don't necessarily need or want to push them when running this build, because you can just rely on your thermite launcher for the damage anyways. So even if you trap your target between 2 traps, that's your opportunity to lay into them with your grenade launcher, not necessarily push and shield them. That way you can play more long range and more defensively if you need to. So that's kind of a difference between that and the Inferno Shield playstyle when you're trapping your targets. The other benefit to the wildfire launcher kit is that it will make ricocheting thermite off of walls to light traps easier, and make bouncing thermite behind enemy defenses much more viable because of the extra thermite that you'll be getting. And that is overall the 2 or 3 builds that you would run as Scorch. You could also consider temper plating as a kamikaze build, which you would play no different than the Inferno Shield. But I think the Inferno Shield does a better job of that. So that will cover all of the mechanics, all of the damage numbers, and the playstyles for Scorch. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Evil or Person, do you guys have anything you would like to add that I missed?
This doesn't make him viable in less than 3v3.
Always lead your shots.
Lead your shots, and Scorch still isn't viable in less than 3v3s.
Person's wrong about that, though.
Yeah, Scorch really relies on chaos and distraction. So modes like Titan Brawl, Scorch absolutely dominates because there's so much chaos going on. That chaos makes your life so much easier when it comes to flanking, which the more often you can flank successfully, the more beneficial Inferno Shield is. So Scorch really takes advantage of that close range engagement, the chaos, the confusion. That's his chance to shine and absolutely destroy targets. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please like the video and leave a comment. If you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comment section, and we will be covering the next Titan guide here shortly. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later.